I want to thank everyone for being here, for allowing me to be here, and making me last. There's nothing I love better than standing between a room full of developers and the bar. And unfortunately, it's not the first time. And I thought I'd recap, since I'm the last guy up, and Charles will probably do a quick brief, but by that time we'll all be really impatient and kind of edging toward the door. So a couple things I heard today. Social games make millionaires. That's really cool. I like that idea. Independent developers hate publishers. I tend to share that sentiment quite often. Being a content enabling guy on the hardware side, I have some of the similar woes. PR is a necessary evil. Yeah, I've been there too. Games are so mainstream that even politicians are paying attention to them now. And I'd like to declare my candidacy now for, no. When I grow up, I want to be Margaret, because she's doing really cool, innovative stuff. And I mean that intensely. I thought I was passionate about my job, and I was completely enthralled, and I've begged her to get on the beta program for the audio game, because I have to play it. If you're over 40, you are absolutely ancient in this business. Guilty as charged. But when I took this job 4 years ago, it made me instantly cool with my teenage twin boys, so it all paid off. And I think I'm the only parent who mandated that his son sign an NDA, because I work out of my home. And I literally swear to God have had them sign the Intel legal NDA so they don't repeat things that have gone on in my office, because it was quite a concern. I want an advanced purchase of the death of the console. And if there's any chance to write the forward, I'm volunteering right now. And small is the key. Small is the key to the future. And hopefully my guided tour today that I'll take you through gives you an opportunity, being small, to capitalize on a trend that I think is really big. If I set the Wayback Machine 6 years ago plus, the Atom project was a derivation of a joint development with our Asian developers. Came out of a time when the one laptop per child project was going on, and the Asian manufacturers saw a trend for very inexpensive platforms and literally begged us to think differently about our product, and thank God we did. They asked us how we could get PC functionality into a form factor and a cost that they could service other than traditional Western and European markets, the ones that we had been servicing for quite some time. And I remember a time when I was in Thailand on a visit through Malaysia, and I looked around and it dawned on me, how are we absolutely going to bring this population into the PC generation? And Atom helps us do that. It helps us do it economically. Because of the size and the complexity and the manufacturing technology we have, we can manufacture these parts profitably, which is the key to our success. And when we can manufacture the products profitably, that means that we can make them available through our OEM partners and through the channels. And that means an install base of incredible proportions that I'll show you in a minute, and that means your potential success. Netbooks haven't gotten as much critical acclaim as some of these other devices. And that's largely because of the ecosystem, and we'll talk about some of that today. But from a pure ramp, from a pure zero to volume estimate, it was the fastest growing consumer device in the last 10 years. And you can see some of the comparisons, right? Some of the ones that we talked about today. About the only regret that I had today was that not one person today mentioned Netbook as a potential platform that they're designing for. The saving grace is nobody actually said iPad either, which I thought was going to be the buzz of the conference. So what that tells me is we're looking at install base. The good news is I view that as a business issue. That means that you're looking for places to sell your products. That means you're not interested in what the hot new thing last week is, even though there may be 300,000 or 400,000 of those running around now. But you're looking for where you can sell product reliably. How can you make a business out of the hard work that you do? If you look at the forecast of where we're going with Netbooks, I can show you a business that is incredibly attractive. As we exited 2009, we had 60 million units of install base. And that's an aggregate number. So as I take these bars and I add them up year over year, time over time, we had more netbooks installed at the end of last year than any of the console vendors have sold in the previous generation of consoles. The issue is that this is not a toaster. This is not an appliance. This is not a purpose-built machine. So when you look at a game console, I only buy an Xbox for one thing. No, not to play Halo, but other games as well. When you buy a netbook, it's a completely open environment. And we viewed this as a completely open environment. Our whole philosophy for the last 30 plus years has been to build an open system, to build an open platform that the market embraces and that the market decides what the appropriate uses for that is. Unfortunately, the world has changed somewhat, and in this category of product, we didn't recognize that sooner, but we've recognized it now. So what is a netbook? What is this funky little device? It looks like a laptop. It's just kind of a cheap laptop, right? You pick it up at the Tesco, and they've got them on the end cap, and you take them home. Grab a couple. They're really cheap. Every kid gets one for Christmas or birthday, or pick your favorite holiday. And in essence, they are. They are a tiny notebook. And these are ballparks. Some vendors have gone bigger. Some vendors have gone smaller. The traditional form factor was the most comfortable to sell. And so this is what you're going to see when you look at those 60 million units out there. As I look forward to the hundreds of millions of units, I highly anticipate that they're not all going to look like this. In fact, I'm counting on the fact that they're not all going to look like this. Because the Atom architecture is fundamentally our base architecture for all of the types of gadgets that have been evolving. You're going to see mobile phones that are coming out that have phenomenal performance because of the Atom architecture that's in them. You're going to see tablets coming out in the very near future that have incredible capabilities. The one thing that I've loved over the last month is before the iPad announcement, or the iPad delivery, between the time that Steve Jobs stood up and waved it over his head and told everyone this was the second coming of tablet computing, and the time that people got their first tablet, was every criticism of the tablet was a feature that we support in our architecture today. Multitasking computing, embedded cameras, right? WiMAX even. We have broadband capability in many of these units in markets that have WiMAX capability. And I know those are small today, but if you go to Japan, go to Tokyo, for instance, it's a phenomenal thing. And as those broadband technologies continue to evolve, these will be constantly connected computers. So how do people use them? Well, as I mentioned, it's an open platform, so there isn't a really good answer. In fact, I can't even describe the standard demographic of what a netbook user is, because there isn't one. It's children, it's people who wanted a second computer, it's housewives. I've heard people call it the pocketbook computer. It's anything you can think of in an economic model that the barrier of entry is so low that people don't consider it a major purchase like you did when you were upgrading your PC.